and trust me, we're going to take it to the next level. So please don't change the dial, but call somebody to tune in and dial in. Yes, Peter, welcome back.
Welcome, thank you.
It's been wonderful first half. If
Thank
you
you
take it
much.
like football.
Thank you, absolutely. And also very much like, I very much enjoy passing on information because it's all about value, isn't it?
It's all about
whatever
value.
you do, wherever you are, you ought to give and need to give some value to the others, and so they can grow. Otherwise, what's the point?
And value must be continuous, isn't it?
Yes, value must be continuous for yourself and for others, and that's what's also very much linked with high performance. Because if you don't give value to yourself and to others, what's then eventually your customer base, your other stakeholders and suppliers will say, why should we do business with them? Because we can do business with other people.
So it means that the value that you create for yourself should influence.
Very much so, yeah. Because your value you create for yourself and you give to others, you get feedback. This will also help you with your motivation, because the more value you give, the more hopefully positive feedback you will get, and that's the external motivation which you will get from others, telling you, you've done a great job, Oscar, that program is great, because we got 2 or 3 points out which we can put into practice straight away. Which is great. That means that you're getting more listeners, you're getting more fans who will then promote your show, your program, and all this comes by itself because you live it. And I think that's also the difference between someone who just starts a company because they want to make money, yeah, or because they want to do something, they're bored, so they do something, or they really live, they really believe. And that's a difference also, because that doesn't come from your head, like the financial figures and so on, which again, I'm not saying it's not important. I think it's very, very important to have your balance sheets right, but you also need to have your heart on the right side as well. And that means you're emotionally connected to your products and services for the right reasons. And for the right reason, what I'm saying is you ought to be selfless, and you focus on your customers to give them constant value and belief. Constant value, constant value, and constant value. And this will eventually get you move you to the next level. That's what show is all about.
Yes. Constant value will put you to the next level. I think you've mentioned more about high performance. What is high performance?
Well, that's a very good question. I've been asked by many people, organizations, and leaders and entrepreneurs, what is high performance? Well, my definition of high performance is to add value on a regular basis to yourself and others. And that means on a regular basis. That's the focus, and it's also on the value side as well. Yeah? Because if you're constant adding value to others and to yourself, you always grow. And what organizations sometimes also have, sometimes because they have, is a goal or vision. Yeah? That's where they start. Our vision is to be the best in the UK, in Ghana, in Africa, of what we do. I say that really sucks. That really sucks, because it doesn't say anything.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's vague.
It's very vague, yeah. You need to have a legacy, you need to, and I'm just going back slightly, because what I find is and I've been working with lots of C and board level executives, eventually they say, for example, a small business, yeah, they start their business, the chief executive will be, say, 65 at some point, and he or she wants to retire. Yeah. And maybe 5 years before he retires, he thinks, well, I achieved what I wanted. So what now? They go to a big hole. Yeah. And if you have that legacy, that you're emotionally connected to it, this will keep your goal, keep you driving all along. Yeah. And these are the people like the Elton John. Elton John hasn't stopped when he was 60. Yeah. He still continues. Yeah. Nelson Mandela didn't stop when he was 60. Yeah. There are leaders, top leaders. Richard Branson hasn't stopped when he was 60. I'm not sure whether he's 60 or probably a bit over that, but he'll never stop. Yeah. There's something that drives him or her. Drives him, but other leaders as well. Because if you've got that internal drive, internal value that you want to give to others, this will keep you alive as well. I know a chief executive of a smallish company. I think they were turning over about £1.5 to £2 million. The founder of the organization retired when he was 60, passed everything on to his son, who was pretty ready for the organization, for the business. The first year, the founder and his wife went off and sailing, enjoying themselves, spending probably about 100 days abroad. Yeah. The second year, they spent 80 days abroad. The third year, they spent 30 days abroad. And then the fourth year, you ask him a question saying, I don't know what it is. What do you mean? What did you say again? So, this is because the person loved what he did, but he lost interest because there was no kind of next step, next level for him to go for. And I know from a friend, I mean, he used to get up at just before 6 o'clock, yeah, in order to open his shop around 7:30. When he was retired, in the beginning he got up at 6 o'clock because this was his routine.
Yeah, routine, yeah.
And then later on, he got up at 9, he got up at 10. He watched television till late. Yeah, the whole thing's changed because there was no purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's about high performance, all about purpose. It's about the emotional connection.
So you want to mean that if the purpose is there, that passion is there, then you can continue.
Then you can continue. Now what's happening also is that's about talent, because you need other people in order to help you where you want to go, and most organizations need that. Yeah, they work in teams, so you need to have staff. Yeah, and what's then happening is that eventually the organization goes into a kind of stale mode almost, and changes from the entrepreneurial side to the more structured side. And that's where things, not all the time, but sometimes can go massively wrong. Yeah, and then they think themselves, how can I get new staff? How do I get the staff I really want? Yeah, and then in the beginning you have you get interviewed by the founder. Yeah, and then later on you get interviewed by the general manager. Who the general manager is sometimes quite probably more left brain focused, more thinking, okay, this is the things we need to do here. These are the structures. You need to follow the structures. And soon there's a mix between the entrepreneurial side and also the kind of structure side. And because the founder or the entrepreneur will perhaps do less of what he or she is good at, the entrepreneurs are getting out to customers and engaging with them. So the organization becomes more and more process kind of driven. And then what's happening is they get staff, and the staff organizations get are very kind of process driven. Yeah, and that's I'm not saying not for everyone, but for some organization it's totally the totally wrong thing, because you need people in the ideal world who are more passionate about your products and services than you are.
So how do you identify them?
Yeah, that's the thing. And how do you find them first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another thing as well, because if you are in a very small town, yeah, I mean, London is all fine. In New York, that's all fine. Yeah, in larger
Like cities.
cities, that's brilliant. But what do you do when you're 50 or 100 miles outside the bigger cities? And people say, well, I can't find the right people, so I have to do with someone who might be not as good, yeah, but I need someone to do a job. That's all fine, but that's what I'm saying is it's all about culture, because if you create a culture that is very proactive and very flexible, very customer-centric, customer-focus, and also very entrepreneurial and flexible, someone from the outside who will come in who hasn't got these personality traits will not fit into the culture.
Would they fit or not fit into?
So they would not fit into the culture. But then it also depends on what kind of job that person has to do. For example, if I have to put caps on drinking bottles, yeah, you might not need someone with that kind of proactive attitude, even though it's very important. And I think if you are a new person who starts in an organization and you know how things are done around here, not just like, here we are, this is my job at J or B from 9 to 5, but this is a proactive, interactive, open communication organization, that certainly will help. And if you're coming from a very stale company, yeah, I used to work for some of them, whereby you have the average age of about 50, 55, big long established organization, also established company, everything has to go through certain processes and procedures in order to get things done. Now, this is and if you've been working in this organization for the past 20 years, and you're coming to our organization, yeah, to STARR Radio, whereby things are flexible, things are motivating, people get value, yeah, people are getting the opportunity to try things out, then someone who comes from a different culture would not fit in.
Okay.
And how do you see that and how do you hear that? So you're pretty much through is the CV, but also hearing it through the voice. How passionate is someone about your products? How passionate is someone about your services, what you offer, what added value you offer to others? If there's a saying, oh yeah, that's good, I'm really pleased to
Don't you think training and development can bridge the gap?
Training development, very good question. I think it does, and some organizations think it does. But the issue is that, I mean, I'll just give you some examples. Yeah, there is in 2015, the training, the money what's been spent on training was 355 billion US dollars. Yeah, there was also consulting. 5.2 billion was spent on consulting. 830 million was spent on coaching, yeah, and an average per company, it depends on whether you're small, medium or large, was spent on...
So this is, you're talking about in terms of how much is spent, yeah?
What's spent, yeah, but I'm coming back to what happened is, and then you've got 40 hours, yeah, 40 hours is spent on per year on training. But the impact that training has, the impact means not how how fun the training was. Yeah, it's about the impact, the business impact.
Yes.
Yeah, and what's the return the organization will get is 25%. Yeah, so you're wasting 75%. But also what's happening is that people go to a training course. Yeah, and that is regardless of whether there is the soft skills or customer service skills or what it is. If they're not using it, yeah, or if they're not encouraged by the culture to continue of what they've learned, then they go back to their own neutral self. So perhaps after the training, I pick up the phone. Just to give you an example. Maybe I just pick up the phone and say, "Hi, this is Peter from STARR Radio. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning today. How can I help you? Thank you very much for calling. Sorry, what is your name again? Mr. Smith? That's S-M-I-T-H? Yes, that's correct. Let me, please wait a second. It won't take, it'll be very short. I'll put you through to Mr. Bimpong." That's the beginning. Later on, and I've seen that many times, later on it just goes back to, "Hi, this is STARR Radio. How can I help you?"
Mm-hmm.
"Oh yeah, I can put you through. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Bimpong isn't here at the moment. Can I leave a message?"
There's no enthusiasm anymore.
No, absolutely.
It dies.
Absolutely. And this is the difference. And I think,
So how do you keep it alive?
how do you keep it alive? Because everyone in the organization is alive. I mean, I give you a culture example of Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Red Bull is an organization that's very young, very energized. It's a very creative organization, and what you do is
Very ambitious.
very ambitious. And what happens is when you walk into their office, yeah, they have a huge board where you can do some, what's the skateboards? Yeah, you can go skateboarding, and you can play pool, billiard. You can do very kind of sports. I think they have probably got a football ground outside. It's a very, very energetic, very creative organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this attracts certain people. This does not attract people who've been in an organization who've worked there for 37 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what happened is and most people want to work for that organization because they think that's great. You know, I can mix my hobbies with business, and that's all great, fantastic. Yeah, but you need to have, if you've got the right, and this will never die, because you've got those companies. They have people waiting outside on the door to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the difference. And other organizations, they struggle for staff. They struggle not only for staff, they struggle for talent, which they really need. And then what happens after a period of time? No talent comes in, so they're spending extra money on advertising. They're spending extra money on recruiting costs, which sometimes is up to about 35% of the annual salary. Then after 6 months or a year, things don't work out. They get another person on board. Now, what's the impact? What's the loss of this individual who worked in that organization for that year? It's not only about the salary. It's not only about the training. It's about management time and upset customers. Times he or she's been off, maybe bunking off or being sick, and so on. It's a huge amount of money that goes down below, which is not right. So having the right culture and having the patience and having the focus on, we want the right talent, because you just need to keep the ball rolling. You need to keep active. And what I also think is that in some organizations, I mean, I'm saying some organizations, I mentioned that a few times because not every organization is the same. It's like high performance. What's high performance for one organization might be totally different for another organization. Yeah, that's a huge difference. But if you've got the patience and you're you believe you find the right talent, you have to wish that you want to find the right talent, you will find the right talent, and then things will go by itself.
But there's no surety, isn't it?
There's no certainty. There's no certainty. Of course not. Of course not.
So it means that you need to build a culture that will cause people to integrate easily.
Yes, because what happens is it is like a start, isn't it? Because once the original culture is by the founder, because the person, there's one founder, or you've got maybe a team of people who then start an organization. That's what the original culture is. But they need to keep that energy alive. It's about the energy of what they give to customers and what they give about to themselves.
Do you see? I think organizations, apart from building their culture, needs to understand the culture of the people they are employing as well.
Yeah, because they need to understand, but they see it and they feel it and they hear it once you've gone to an organization. For example, if you are going to Red Bull, you would not, I mean, I've never been to the organization, but you would probably not find someone and say, hello, how can I help you? And you get more like, people are very creative, people are moving about, and that's the culture. And you will not attract a talent that comes from another organization who the person who doesn't like that kind of environment. Yeah, it is like Accenture.
Yeah.
I used to have meetings with Accenture. Yeah, and if you go into the Accenture office in London, certainly this was at a time some years ago, is that people are highly concentrated. They are highly focused. They put their heads down, and they work. Yeah, and you would not. I've not found someone who thinks, "Oh, hi, love. How was the weekend? Oh, did you watch Coronation Street? Oh, how was it?" You wouldn't find that kind of thing. So that's what I'm saying is you wouldn't get generally those people who would then go to Accenture. I mean, I'm not thinking it might not happen, but it's their culture is.
I believe culture is in three ways. It affects three different entities, right? The organization itself, the staff, and the customers, right?
Yes.
Now with the staff, right? I remember at my workplace back in the days, they employed somebody from Africa. The guy was fresh in the UK, and the managing director was coming in, and this guy rushed to go and take his bag.
Okay.
This is a culture in Africa, but in the UK it's not a culture.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the managing director looked at him, he saw it to be weird, isn't it? Because it's not something he's used to. So later in the conversation, it came up and I tried to explain to him. He said, oh, I see. So it means that sometimes the organization itself does not understand the culture of the people that they employ.
Yeah, there's also no fit, because in general terms, people apply for a job. There's a job somewhere, it goes online, it goes to agencies, people then get a CV, then they look at the skills of what the person has, and then there's an interview, maybe after one interview, two interviews, three interviews, maybe a presentation afterwards, and then that's it. So people are looking very much more on the left brain of what have you done, what have you achieved, rather than on the more emotional side, which is very, very important, of what they can do for the organization, what they've done and how they performed. That's all part of it, but it's the emotional side that gets hooked, and that's what doesn't really happen. And also, I think there's a lot of, I call it inbreed of people, Because what do? You're looking for your shortage of staff, say for example in the manufacturing industry or the consulting industry. What do you get? You get someone from the same industry, because they don't need to train that person. The person already got the skills and also knows the customers, and maybe can bring some people in from maybe his clients. So they are thinking about, okay, we're paying you £30,000, but at the same time we could probably get $500,000, because the amount of contacts you have, you then bring into our organization. That means we can make more money. So you basically pay for itself. They're not looking at what the organization really needs. Not currently, but in the future. You need to recruit by looking at behaviors, not what you need currently, but what you need in the future, in the next 5 years, for example. And if you know where you want to go in 5 years' time and what behaviors you need to have, then you can recruit accordingly. So for example, if you're an entrepreneurial organization, you've been for the last 2 years, and you want to grow, you've got a strong base, you might need some more processes, that's fine then. So you hire some people who have got the processes background. That's all fine, because that's part of it. Yeah, without processes it's not possible. But then you also need to have a healthy balance of people who've got the attitudes, who come maybe from different sectors, yeah, and also different sexes as well. I think what I find is that lots of organizations, they have very male dominated or very female dominated. There's not a kind of a healthy balance of both sexes, which I think is again very, very important, because both sexes will help each other. It will bring in ideas, we see things differently, and that's also very, very helpful for
appeal as well, isn't it?
Yeah, very appealing.
Yes, I think we have to go for a quick commercial break, and when we come back we are going to continue for the last segment of the program. I think it's been enjoyable. Please don't change the dial. We are coming back very soon.
Go. They're good? Yeah.
When we're going to talk about the measure, how to measure the hypermobile.
Your battery went off, so I need